SID. What's their thinking around this? They're here now. I'm surrounded by the goons of the TOC. Across me, I'm sitting across the president of the Trans-Orange Conference. I'm ever so honored to have to my right the executive secretary of the Trans-Orange Conference, which should explain to you how important the idea of retaining, nurturing, and discipling our members. Joining me now is the president, President Netshifulan. Welcome to SID Media here at Adventist World Radio. Thank you very much for agreeing to talk to us. Your views, first and foremost, as far as our membership generally at the TOC is concerned. Do you feel we have been able to keep our members, or you feel that perhaps there's some legitimacy to the cause that says we're losing, we're bleeding, we're hemorrhaging members?
That is actually definitely quite a major concern to us. And if we were to go back to the Bible, we will also discover that there is a theology that was well developed on membership retention. You will remember that when Christ spoke about the lost sheep, the story that is mostly emphasized is the evangelistic outreach that he made of going to look for the just one sheep that was lost. And what we don't actually seem to also emphasize on that particular story is the 99 that were kept 99.
All right.
While one was lost.
Okay.
So that even in the process of going just to pick up and to look for the 199, he never left until he had made a proper arrangement to retain the 99.
Lovely.
So that the 99 remain 99.
Lovely.
Of the 100. So that is actually the whole theology.
Okay.
And somehow we actually seem to be more obsessed with looking for those that are lost and paying less attention to those who are already in terms of the retention. So retention is the main business.
I like that. Okay, I've never looked at it that way.
If you don't make any retention, you will never have the one that also not only becomes one, but the 100th.
Yeah.
So the one that was lost was not just the one,
I like that.
but it was also the 100th.
Yes, I've
So, and that talks to a balance between bringing in the new,
that's right,
as well as retaining what you already have.
Yeah. Beautiful. I like that. It's beautiful. I feel like I've been preached to already. Thank you very much for that. So now we have a problem then from this. Those that get lost, because in that very same narrative, that story that you're talking about, this one that was lost was part of the 100, but somehow that one got lost. What happened? What happened to the TOC for us to even lose this 1%? We need to understand, perhaps I could be looking at it from a medical perspective, wherein we say, in order for you to cure something, you need to understand what it is you're curing. You don't give headache medicine for a stomach problem. So I'd love to know, what do you think is the cause for that one to be lost?
I think there are a lot of detractors as well as attractions to the sheep, and although we don't know exactly what might have detracted that one that Jesus went out to look for, we can talk more about our current story. Our church membership have also developed a market kind of orientation mentality. And by that I mean that they will actually they also compete for better services, and if they feel that the services are not talking to their needs, they will simply walk out. And more especially in our TOC territory, our members are spoiled because our two conferences that are within here in the north, which is the NCSA as well as the TOC, they don't have territorial sovereignty.
Yes.
So they their main niche is the provision of service.
Okay.
And to the point or to the end that the members have to feel the real experience of satisfaction with the service.
Yes.
So if they are not happy this side, they simply move the other side.
Floor, yes.
And still in the market mentality, sometimes they simply will not wish to commit.
Okay.
Like when the insurance guys call you and they want to sell you a product. Sometimes for certain members, it's very nice to remain in no man's island.
Yeah.
They don't miss the church, but they also don't want to commit at the same time. But there are a lot of things that are actually competing for the attention of our members. Very real, and some might be more on the perceptual side of the things. The struggle for means of living, which is quite a brutal struggle for most of our members. So some of them have to find themselves using a disjunction approach of religion or livelihood first. So, and in the midst of that, we also tend to lose actually some of those. So that in most cases, what makes our members to disappear has very little to do with apostasy. Apostasy being defined as the denial of faith. It's not really much about faith, but it's more about other things that compete with their faith, so that they find themselves dispersed between a lot and among a lot of other things that are actually competing for their attention.
So when you look at those that get lost one way or the other, is there a category you could group them in? I've noticed you've already identified the issue of economic resources being one of the attractions out of observing the Sabbath. Do you have any concept as to which age group we're talking about? Is it young people who are leaving the church or who are absenting themselves from the church? Is it the older folk? Is it children? Who do you find is most exiting as opposed to entering the church books?
I think our church basically is it's very much urban and very much youthful. And most of those young people that we have here are actual economic hunters, so to say. They are here looking for a lot of economic opportunities. So those are usually the people that we also lose mostly. And sometimes they are simply they will still wish to be part of. If you were to find them and to meet with them, they still actually proclaim and profess the same faith. But then the other thing, with the complexity of the life and the challenges that face our young people in particular, the church has also remained very stagnant in terms of reaching out to meet their needs. So the issue of relevance is also very critical, and also flexibility, not in terms of moving the doctrinal landmarks, but the methodology of reaching these people and making them to experience Christ wherever they are. And some of their questions that they have, we simply decide to mute them rather than to answer them. Because we find ourselves really constrained to be relevant to their issues. And there are myriad. They could be social, and they could be economic, they could be personal, and also very much ideological. You also have a lot of competition also in that same space. There are issues about other people making a breakthrough, and you don't find yourself making a breakthrough. And you have got all prophets and the theologies of prosperities that don't talk necessarily to spiritual nature. And we are also losing a lot in that hunt, pilgrimage and stuff like that.
I hear you.
From amongst our young people. But the bottom line is, I think the issue of relevance, it's very, very critical.
Yeah.
And once we lose it, we also lose them. We pay.
That's a very big word there, relevance. It makes me shudder to imagine what else could be done to make the gospel relevant. This is over 2,000-year-old gospel. It makes me wonder now, what should be done to make the gospel relevant? So I would assume it's already relevant by virtue of it coming to us for the purpose it comes to us. How relevant? How can we make the gospel relevant to them? Because I thought it was already relevant.
I think the issue of relevance here is in terms of engagement without necessarily departing from the principles.
Okay.
For instance, our sexual opinion will never have to make this kind of a comment.
Okay.
But you have also issues like young people dealing with issues of gay issues.
Yeah.
They love the church, but they also are overwhelmed with exposure to this kind of a phenomenon. It's a growing phenomenon.
Okay.
And sometimes instead of providing even those very same religious answers and scriptural answers without being insensitive to the human issues and social issues underlying the whole phenomenon or the whole thing, you actually find that instead of really dealing with them, dialoguing with them, and having a conversation, we will prefer to mute the concerns and even the voices.
I hear you.
About that.
Okay.
So, and this is the context that I'm trying to express when I talk about the issue of relevance.
Got it. Loud and clear. You're absolutely correct, Mfundisi, and I suppose anyone who would deny the relevance of that debate, that conversation to be had, is living elsewhere, because the global community is stuck now in the rut of debating whether or not in the LGBTIQ community. The TOC, does the TOC have a strategy to address these issues of relevance? Is there something that you have put together, since evidently you have already identified it, evidently you're on the pulse of the issue, so your strategy is to address this issue?
Now, I think as part and parcel of the bigger strategy of retention, we also need to be brutal and do a proper need assessment also with our young people, so that we don't come from heaven to earth without any understanding of what earth feels like and looks like. So we really need to engage in that kind of a proper need assessment, engage the young people and the membership at large, and I think once we have done that, we will be able to even rebrand or retrain our own ministers so that we have a proper approach on how to deal with these things. And some of them, you might find that there are issues that probably need to get to be supported through networking or support groups, so to say, but some networking kind of groups where you actually confront the same thing and you are able to provide support one to another and stuff like that. And this in the name of trying to be relevant. So I am saying that what I can be able to say, and brutally so, is that it's a future that we aspire to get into. We are not yet there. We have not yet started the conversation, like I'm saying. We are still caught up on some things that were supposed to have long been dealt with, which also become quite a problem to our young people. We're still struggling with whether women should be ordained or not, which is supposed to be
an old
question that should have been settled at the time when Christ was here. Because I don't want to be controversial about this.
Feel free. This platform is I've been given carte blanche here, so please speak your mind for this.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about that, it has got a way also of impacting on this other kind of people. Because our belief is that God never calls a person unless he has got an audience ready for that particular audience. But the way we also sometimes seem to be not supporting maybe even women, for instance, who also happen to comprise bigger component of the membership.
That's right.
Their voice in terms of ministry is to a greater extent still muted. We're still debating about those things. So, and while we still have a backlog of those things, forget about issues of gay and stuff like that. There are probably two current, but others are already dealing with those. We have not yet come up with a strategy as such as a TOC. And one which is that we can actually begin to address that. And I am quite confident that it's a space that we'll be getting into. We just watch the space. Because we need to start knowledge generation and also human resource preparation to confront issues that still remain out of the confine of relevance.
The churches in the TOC are, as you correctly put it, interwoven with the churches in the NCSA, the Northern Conference of South Africa. I'm curious now from this. Do you find that these two conferences are working with the same vigor to try and arrest the issue of member retention and to train? Are you on the same par? Since you're all under the same union anyway, do you find that your contemporaries at the NCSA and any other of the conferences, by the way, Kingdom of Eswatini or wherever they may be, are we moving the TOC now? Are we moving the same speed? Are we lagging behind? Are we advanced? Where do you plot us as a TOC?
No, I think we are actually, all of us, heeding the clarion call from the union. We are very much happy with the leadership that the union has provided. And it's providing in terms of the issue of discussing and debating issues of membership retention strategies. So these are a concern union-wide, and there are also global issues as well. So I can actually say that we are trying to move almost at the same speed. All of us consider this to be very urgent. For instance, as we are sitting right now here, behind the wall here, we are having members both from NCSA, as well as the TOC. And all are trying to tackle the same question, supported by the union, the SID, and the GC of membership retention. So it has become a topical issue to all of us. And we are moving at the same rate, and I think at the same pulse. The pulse is the same. You know.
So I would be amiss as a journalist if I were not to give you the opportunity to respond to the question I'm about to ask. But before I ask you the question, I want to give you the liberty, because you are the president of the TOC and you do not just speak anyhow. So if you feel this is not the best time to give an answer to this question, we'll respect that. If you feel you can give us some information, that too we will respect. If you feel you want to address detail for detail, that too we'll appreciate. But I want you to be at liberty. Don't feel like you're backed to a corner to answer this question. I respect your position as far as that is concerned, particularly. Now, the issue of members that are not in their churches. My membership is at Calvin on Athol Seventh-day Adventist Church. I'm serving there as an elder. However, I move, I go to another place and I go worship there. And now when I want to stay there, it doesn't happen. And I'm directly talking about the situation that's happening in Rosebank. Is there something you can tell us to give us some perspective? It seems as though those members there, it's going to be an issue that needs to be dealt with, not only by the TOC, but by the union and the division at some point. Remember, please, you are at liberty to answer, or you can say, let's answer that next time, or set another date to answer it. But I want to give you the opportunity so that we don't miss it. It is not a missed opportunity.
I think, yes, on that one, maybe I can just invite you to come and take a walk with us.
Yeah.
We are actually working on the issue of Rosebank.
Yeah.
But I think what I can actually share with the public is that the Rosebank phenomena as it is, and as we experience it, I think one thing that we need to appreciate and lift out of the whole debate or discussion about it is that it has been going on for about 2 years plus, but they are still very much respectful of the church. They still call themselves Adventists, and they're an Adventist group of people. And they have also resisted other calls to become an independent ministry. They have resisted that because they really see themselves as a church, and they want to be part and parcel of the church system of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I can actually talk offhand right away is that we are very much grateful of the Rosebank phenomena, whether it happened by accident or by design. But I think from where we are sitting as a church, it is talking to us that there is a particular group of young people whom we are probably missing in our current church conventional way of doing things. So there are people that we're actually missing.
Yes.
And it also seems to be having a very good market reach.
Yes.
So, and these are the young people that are also highly professional, highly mobile.
Yes.
And they are also intentional in that they are very much definite on where they want to go and worship.
That's right.
Whether it is in the NCSA or in the TOC, they have made clear choices. It's not grey.
Yes.
It's either black or white with them. And I think going forward, it will be a very good thing if we could also be very much intentional to study the market trends. Outside even the Gauteng or the Rosebank.
That's right. That's right.
And go elsewhere as well. It could be down in Nelspruit or Polokwane.
Yeah.
So we would love to actually learn out of this and get the best positive outcomes.
That's right.
Out of this learning experience.
Yes.
Because with learning, the beauty about learning is if you fail, you still have lessons to learn.
That's right. That's right.
If you succeed, you still have lessons to learn.
Yes.
And this one, I think it's currently our study book.
Yes.
And we will not bend the book.
Yes.
And bend the message.
Yes. Yes.
And the lessons to learn
Yes.
out of that.
Yes.
We will wish to make ourselves vulnerable.
Yes.
And learn as much as we can.
Yes.
So that if it is be a good thing to do, we should then be talking about how do we replicate
Right.
and be intentional about this and make sure that we retain their people because it's part of the retention strategy.
Yeah. So, and I want to appreciate that leadership that you have just provided right now, Mr. President, because it hurts me almost every time this conversation comes up. It's as though people are talking about an entity elsewhere, some amoeba, something that is lifeless there. And I appreciate the fact that we are now talking the way you're talking, and I'm very much excited to hear you speak the way you're speaking. This is the leadership that we need for this, and I do hope and pray that God guides you and continues to guide you along the path that you are leading. I, for one, as an individual and as a member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, you have my support. You can knock on my door, send me wherever you want to send me. I'd love to serve that idea that you've just articulated right now. A beautiful, beautiful idea. Now,
Thank you so much.
Thank you for this. So let's now talk about the final issues, and I'll let you go. I understand you also have to attend that side for this. Your colleagues, pastors, do they have the same passion that you have, the same idea that you have? Because my fear is you'll drive in this direction, and then when your term comes to an end, you'll go to the union or the division, wherever they want to take you, and then the dream that you have articulated right now, do they share it with you? Do you find that you are on par with them, or have you left them behind?
I like the way you have actually put in the question, because it is it becomes a subject of thought as well. So, but I think when you talk about the passion, the nice thing about it is that it's not a genetic phenomenon.
Okay.
A passion is also a function of leadership.
Okay.
So if you fail to instill the passion in your team, then you have really failed in your leadership.
Okay.
That in its own is a key performance indicator of leadership, and of course not really personal, but we are a collective. We work hand in hand with the officers, we work hand in hand also with the administration committee, and we also work together with the executive committee. So for instance, the first formal level of selling the passion and stuff like that, I think a week ago we had our executive committee, and we managed to get our strategic plan, which is a document that talks a lot of passion. At that level, the executive committee has embraced it, and it had also evolved organically from the ADCOM itself. The ADCOM went through it, we worked through it, and then it went over to the executive committee, and they are very, very much excited about it. Now we are at a stage where we need to get all our pastors and our district directors and instill and infuse and share the passion with them. So we want it to be as contagious as COVID itself. So, and from there we will be taking it down to the churches and to the districts. We are not hoping for an instant whatever, but we want this passion to be shared and to be embraced by everybody. So I think we are already heading on the right direction. So it's not genetic, it has to be shared. It's a function of orientation. And that is where leadership actually ought to spend much of its energies in inspiring the passion to do the work.
Got it. Pastor Netch, thank you very much for coming.